Can old Gen X like me learn AI? Let's find out right now. So, for the past several months, like 3, 4 months, I've been, hearing about the AI stuff. I've kind of heard about AI before that, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And, it took a while, right, to kind of catch up. Because yeah, I think the younger generation, they talk about AI, it was back in like, several years ago. Um, but now I'm actually kind of I learning, and I've been diving deep into this AI, world of all these tools. So I'm trying to upgrade my RAM, so to speak, or my memory, from about like 26 years ago, back in those days. Uh, that's when I was kind of learning computers, about networking, repairing computers, got my certification in A plus, MCSC, MCP. For those of you that don't know, it's A plus is a computer repair certification. MCSC is a Microsoft certified system engineer certification for networking. How do you plug it in, with Windows Server and your Windows computer for your corporate environment, things like that. So, that was what I was working with back then. And then, now it's like, wait, you could actually build websites just by talking into AI. What? You know? So I'm like, okay, now I gotta catch up. I gotta upgrade my RAM, upgrade my processing unit. It's white, you see? Uh, So now I gotta upgrade it. So for the past several months, I've been, really diving deep into this AI stuff, because everybody is, talking about AI this, AI that, use it for business and things and like this. And then I was like, wow, this is amazing, And then I got lost. I was like, where do I go? So I had to kind of, dive into all these YouTube videos, people showing me these, millennials, Gen Z showing me all this, like, oh, this AI tool does this does that, what, so, and I got lost in the rabbit hole. And I'm sure some of you out there, that are like me, that are old, and then you're like, oh, what? I could talk to AI, download this app and then just talk to it and it talks back to me. And then that's it, conversation. But actually, it does a lot more. So, and I've been kind of using it. Um, it seems like it's like, okay, I tell it what to do certain things, like build me a website. Yeah, it's going to build a website, but it doesn't build it like the way I want. So you have to give really good directions. That's what I realized about AI. So you have to kind of know the language. And it's not just the tools, it's like how you connect these tools together. So that's another part, it took me a while to kind of figure everything out. So for the past several months, I've been just, trying to build, not the I've been trying to build my website, so I've already built one through AI, and then I've implemented a CRM system for this new company. So I've done that, uh, and it makes it a lot faster now. Before, it would take me months and months and months, almost like a year to learn. Like, trying to use Shopify, trying to use Magento, trying to build my own e-commerce store, and it was just learning after learning, and then by that time you're already done. It's like, okay, I've learned too much. Now I gotta implement it. But by that time the technology is just like, oh, it's changed already. It's 26 years. So I'm like, oh man, you know I think this AI stage, right now at this time going forward, a lot of people, are still not using it because they feel safe or unsecure. I don't know what it is, but you know, the younger generation, they're using AI for sure, right? I don't know. Um, it can't do your homework for you, give you, I mean, it can, but give you the answers. But it leaves that critical thinking out of that. But for older people like me, it's actually a lot easier because it actually really helps, with solving business problems. So I can ask questions. I don't have to ask Google and type it in and just going on and on forever, trying to, going into the rabbit hole, just trying to figure everything out. Now it actually gives me some sort of an answer, and then I could base that answer to see, if that's the right answer or the wrong answer you know so I could kind of determine. But it actually helps with a lot of the things that I need for businesses. So yeah, uh if you're stuck, like, or if you're beginning learning AI, and if you want to see me mess up like doing some stuff, hey, be sure to click the subscribe button there to see me, get lost in this AI, uh, you know, automation learning phase. Okay, so uh, now another thing about AI for old people, I think it's good, is that it you could actually talk to it. So if you feel lonely, you can actually talk to AI. So I'm like, wait, for lonely people, older senior people, download it because you can actually talk to somebody. I was like, wow. Now, we can talk to YouTube, like I'm talking to all of you right now, but you could actually talk to AI, voice communication. Wow. You know, I remember watching the Jetsons when I was a kid, and like you had the robot talking to you. Now we're in that era of the Jetsons, actually a robot that can talk. And that was like how many years ago, right? So that shows you, I'm pretty old, like talking about Jetsons. Yeah, for those of you that don't know Jetsons, yeah, look it up, the Jetsons, okay? Jetsons cartoon. All of you Gen Zs and alphas, or I don't know what alphabet category you're in, but yeah, look up the Jetsons, okay? So uh, I think it's great that whoever came up with this AI, they say, oh, AI is gonna destroy everything. It might, but then again, you know, right now we're still all here, right? So it didn't blow us up yet. So so in the meantime, we get to use the tools, and then we'll get to, kind of go over all these things, how you can implement it. I've gone through a lot of this, pre-learning already, so that I could kind of show you what kind of mistakes that I made, um, using AI tools, because there's just so many out there. Um, you got what the famous ChatGPT. Now I think Claude. Claude is another good one that's right now. You got all these influencers giving you like all these tools, Manus, Perplexity, Notebook LM, what else? Grok. Yeah, there's just so many tools to use. Uh, and it's kind of overwhelming for somebody that's new. You're like, oh, what do I use for this, what do I use for that? Because that's where I was at. I was just stuck. I was like, okay, so I have to figure out what this does, what this does, what this tool does, what it's like your mind is just overwhelmed. And it's for the past several months I've been just dumping all this information into this, little tiny brain. But now I'm finally able to kind of grasp the idea of what does what. And, I could go over with you, what those tools can do. So, stick around for my next video, and then we'll go slowly, little by little. So, to explain all these little tools to use for your daily use, like for your work purposes or for just chit chatting or whatever you could think of. It's limitless. So AI can now actually develop. You can now develop your own software basically for your own use. So that's great. So there's no actual proprietary rights. You could actually build a software without paying for it. Actually, you are still paying for it through the subscription services to use the AI, but you could actually, um, use those tools, without being locked into something. Because I think that's where that change is going right now. Is that okay? You're actually paying for a subscription, for like let's say a CRM, and then with the AI, you integrate it. Oh, well, you see what I mean? It's like you can integrate it with the CRM, but you can actually build your own CRM with the AI, but that takes a lot longer. So there's all these integrating parts that you have to put together um, to make the outcome the way you want it. So, and I've been testing this out here, there, and working with like all these others, researching all these tools, and I'm trying to kind of unload everything into this video, and it's a lot of information. It's a lot. So but today I just wanted to kind of, share with you, hey, is AI going to actually help older people? Yes, it can help older people in certain ways. Yes, definitely. For old man like me, old Gen X like me, yeah, I need to update my RAM and my upgrade my CPU and things like that, and then trying to get this thing going because uh yeah, I mean, we all want to make extra income, and we all want to do something with our spare time, right? For those of you that haven't retired yet, so yeah, I'm going to show you what I'm using, and what I think it's good. There's a lot of influencers out there, recommending a lot of different ways too, but I'm, doing it this slow. Okay, I'm slow. I'm not gonna go fast. All right. So you get to spend time with me, and then you get to kind of learn, little tips here and there, so hopefully you could implement that into your business. So before I let you go, I'm gonna show you a quick tool that I built, with AI, and then see if you could use it on your business as well. So I'm gonna show you this tool. Now, I just built this site. It's called digitalcondor.com. So offering digital services for businesses, for small businesses, retail businesses. Uh, you know, this is a great tool to kind of see where you're missing out on. So if you're in home services, if you're in real estate, insurance, if you're in beauty services, it's great to see this tool, to see how much money you're actually losing out on if you don't implement some of the digital products into your operation for your business. I wish I had this like 10 years ago. It would have made so much difference. So let's go down. I'm going to give you this link. It's going to be down there in the description. Um, and you select your industry, let's say med spa. I mean, this works for any business, but this is just a sample business category. So let's say chiropractor, okay? So if you have a chiropractor clinic, um, and your average customer value, you select it like $200. So it all depends what state you live in, right? So you could adjust it here. You could, you know, just charge how much your average prices are, 250 or 200. So let's say 250 per service, whatever the amount that you want to put in. And then let's do, okay, per week, let's say you miss about, uh, let's make it easy. Let's make it, all right, let's say you miss about 20 calls, okay? So, or missed customers, or 20 calls or missed customers that you couldn't actually close, right? Or booking or whatever, appointments, make it simple. So let's say you missed 20 calls. So you missed out on 20 clients, okay? And then out of those 20, let's say you only closed 50%. So that makes it, 10, right? 10 clients per week. Let's say you're losing 10 clients per week or closing 10 you should be closing extra 10 clients per week. And, you know, and this is the calculation on the right. Weekly revenue. So that's $2,500 because out of 20 calls, you're closing 10. You're closing 10 clients. So that's 2,500 that could have been, booked. In a month, that's $10,825, right? In a year, that's $129,900 that you're kind of missing out on if you don't implement some of these tools. So let's say your close rate is 20% or 25, let's say 25%. Okay. So out of 20 calls, you could only close 25%. In a year, that's like $64,950 that you could have been closing, right? But if you don't implement this systems, you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss out on these leads. And I'm gonna show you like, okay, what's leaking. So when you go down below, you could put in your information, business information, address, and then yeah, you could put all that information down there, and then I could go over with you if you want. So yeah, give it this full free tool a try. See how much money you could be missing out on for your business. I'll be glad to go over with you. All right. So I can give you some guidance or solution to help you get that extra client. So yeah, my overall thought with the AI tools. Now I built that tool with AI. Okay, it helped me now, and I've put that into a CRM, which is called Go High Level, right? I'm sure everybody knows by now what Go High Level was. Go High Level is because that back in 2015, I didn't see anything like that before. If I had that type of a system, I wish I would have learned it, implemented it into my business. Saved me a lot more time and money, and it would have saved me so much more workload. Now it makes the workload so much easier. So, and I like working, and I like helping out businesses, and helping my business as well. So yeah, so you see, and I've done this website just all through AI basically, and I know I built websites before. I built e-commerces before, so I know what terminologies to use. And then, because you have to still kind of talk the lingo, the LLM, the large language model. That's what the AI uses, but you still have to know the term. It'll understand for you what you're talking about. It'll kind of try to figure it out, what you're talking about. But, if you know in descriptive, like, for to build out a website, what are the parts in the website, the components, if you know those terminologies, it makes it a lot easier to build the website. So, and I already know some of the terminologies to use to build out the website, and then it actually builds it out. So it's really simple. You give directions, yes, it does build it out. And AI, it does help out in a lot of different ways. So it's not too late. You know, so I want to show some people, like, okay, I'm gonna take it slow. So if you want slow, and if you want like funny, and if you want yeah, the lazy way learning, the slow and turtle way, hey, just click the subscribe button down there, okay? Down there or down there, I don't know which one, but yeah. So you'll get to see me mess up sometime. Okay, I'm not perfect. I'm human too, Okay. So, but I'm gonna show you all that. Okay. Um, and I'm gonna show you what tools that I use. So you could kind of, you know, implement that to your business and see, how you can actually do it, because you still have to kind of, work at it, integrate it into your website or your current website. If not, you have to integrate it onto some sort of a platform to make things work. So, and I'm going to show all of that to you in my next video, how I'm building out my AI stuff and how I'm learning AI the slow way. Okay, because yeah, I'm not fast as I used to be. Okay, yeah, this age is, age is catching up, right? So, um, yeah, thank you for watching this video to the end. And I hope you get to see me mess up, time to time, because I think human interaction or human errors are, it's good to watch, right? So, uh, AI wants to be perfect, but humans, yeah, we're imperfect. Okay. So I'll see you on the next video, everyone. Thanks for watching to this end of this video. Okay. All right. Bye.